Okay, I think this is the one spot where we might have some problems, but let's see what happens when we film it.
Okay, we're ready then.
Okay. Hi. During the summer quarter of '78 and the winter quarter of '79, I received reassigned time to make videotapes for our English 01 course. The tapes were to cover some grammar already discussed in our English 2600 book, which is one of the textbooks we use for our course. Both sets of tapes covered basically the same material. However, one set was for hearing students and one set was for hearing impaired. In making these tapes, I decided to use basically a lecture approach interspersed with examples done as graphics. In using this kind of approach, I was really being much more structured, much more formal than were Lee Allen and Dave Gardner in their math tapes. So instead of using the one-shot approach that they used, I guess I used what you could call a many-shots approach. Since some of you may want to make tapes of a similar nature, let me detail for you now the steps we followed in making these tapes. First of all, I had to write a script for each tape. The script was a word-by-word statement of what I would say. When I finished the script, I gave a copy of it to the AV graphics artist who had to do a graphic for each of the examples I wanted used. Then I met with the AV production staff and set up a shooting time. Once that was done, we were ready to go. We were ready to start taping. The actual taping itself was a real learning experience for me. Probably the biggest thing I learned was that for every few minutes of finished tape a viewer actually sees, there's probably been a couple hours of shooting time and then maybe another hour of editing time involved. Initially, one of the things you have to spend a lot of time on is trying to decide what set to use and how you should be standing or sitting when the tapes are being done. For example, we had to make these really major decisions of, should I just be standing here like this when the tape started? Or perhaps I should sit on a stool and give my lecture from it. Or maybe I should make use of the desk. We always have a desk in a classroom. I could sit on the desk for a casual approach. Or maybe I should sit in back of the desk and get that truly teacher look. This is the format that we decided to use for our tapes. Right now, you're seeing the view that students see when they watch the tapes. But let me give you a view of what I see while I'm sitting here. On my right, I see the TV monitor, which is always on while the taping is going on. However, I have to be very careful to avoid looking in that monitor while we're taping, or else it will come out funny. Directly in front of me is the camera, which I'm always supposed to be staring at. Now, if we take a long shot, you can see all the different lights around the ceiling. When a taping is going on, anywhere from 3 to 5 of these lights will be on, and the heat from them is intense. Let me warn you, if you do decide to actually make some tapes, be prepared to exude a little moisture when you do it. Both the lights and the camera have to be adjusted for each taping session, as does the microphone, which is normally hidden if you're not going to be moving around during a taping. During the actual taping, we divided each script into segments or scenes and shot each scene separately. We did this instead of just leaving the camera on and shooting the entire thing at once, as was done with Lee Allen and Dave Gardner in the math briefs. It was easy enough to divide each script into scenes, since the frequent use of examples made natural stopping places. However, there was a problem in that I would have to memorize each scene. Now, if they only consisted of a sentence or a short paragraph, it wasn't so bad, but sometimes they were 2 or 3 paragraphs long, and I might have difficulty in remembering them. If I flubbed a line or paused too long to remember the next sentence, we had to shoot the whole scene over again. Sometimes we had to shoot a scene several times. The graphics themselves were shot separately and then edited in later. We might shoot them at a separate session, or we might shoot them after we had done the entire speaking portion. Now, once the things were actually shot, once everything was taped, my part was through, and then the editing process had to occur. All I had to do then was to view the final product and give it my okay or possibly make a suggestion for change. To give you an idea of what our finished product looks like, here's a short clip from the beginning of one of the hearing tapes. Hi, I'm Barbara Townsend, your instructor in this tape about adverb and adjective clauses. Before we look at these kinds of clauses, let's look first at clauses in general. A clause is a group of words containing a subject and a verb. Since every sentence contains a subject and a verb, thus a sentence is a clause. However, a sentence is called an independent clause, meaning it can stand alone as a complete thought. You know what it means to be independent. You can stand by yourself. You don't need any support. And an independent clause or sentence stands alone and doesn't need any other words to complete its meaning. Let's take a look at an example of an independent clause or sentence. Mary ran the 50-yard dash. This group of words is a clause because it contains a subject, Mary, and a verb, ran. It is also an independent clause or sentence because it can stand alone as a complete thought. The tapes for the hearing impaired were done in basically the same way as the tapes for the hearing. However, an interpreter was used to present the material in these tapes. I simply stood by the camera and read the script, which the interpreter signed. The graphics were also shot later and edited in. Although the tapes, both sets of tapes, cover basically the same material, the tapes for the hearing impaired use simpler language and also use graphics more frequently and sooner. Perhaps you'll notice these differences as you view now a clip from the beginning of one of the tapes for the hearing impaired. This clip will cover the same material as the other clip you just saw. Hi, I'm your instructor in this tape about adverb clauses. What is an adverb clause? We'll learn in a few minutes, but first let's learn about clauses. A clause is a group of words. A clause has a subject and a verb. Here is a clause. When John throws the ball. The group of words when John throws the ball is a clause. The word John is the subject. The word throws is the verb. Remember, a clause is a group of words. A clause has a subject and a verb. Clause is a group of words, has a subject and a verb. Making these tapes was a lot of work, but also a lot of fun. I learned a great deal and also gained new respect for our AV production unit, which has several talented, very helpful people in it. I hope you'll make some tapes yourself. In so doing, you'll be creating an educational tool which is truly geared to the level and needs of your students. Okay, I think that wraps it up. These lights are hot.